Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. What if everyone knew your secret, the one you've hidden behind your achievements? It's the truth you fear would destroy how others see you. That voice of self-doubt inside your head that tells you, you don't belong here, they'll figure you out any minute now. That presentation last month, the one everyone thought was great, but all you can remember is stumbling over your words on the third slide. The promotion you received, clearly a mistake they'll correct soon. That degree hanging on your wall, somehow you managed to slip through the cracks of a system that would have filtered you out had it functioned properly. Does this sound familiar? That persistent shadow following you from achievement to achievement, whispering that you're a fraud about to be exposed. You're not alone. This shadow has a name: imposter syndrome. Perhaps you've never put words to this feeling before, yet it's been your constant companion. Here's what you need to understand right now. This shadow follows some of the most brilliant minds throughout history and across every field imaginable. Did you know that Albert Einstein described himself as an involuntary swindler, believing his work didn't deserve the attention it received? Even as you listen to these words, part of you might be thinking, yeah, but their success was real. Mine is different. I really am an imposter. And that right there is precisely what we need to fix right now. Psychologists Pauline Clance and Susan Imes first identified imposter phenomenon in 1978, describing it as a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud, most commonly found in high achievers. Think about that for a moment, the very feeling that tells you you're not good enough. It's most common among those who are exceptional at what they do. When imposter syndrome takes hold, it warps reality. Achievements become luck, successes become flukes. Meanwhile, we perceive others as effortlessly competent, naturally talented, and truly deserving of their positions. Have you ever dismissed a compliment with, "Oh, I just got lucky"? Do you downplay your wins, focusing only on what you could have done better? These are the fingerprints of imposter syndrome, and they leave marks on our confidence, careers, and well-being. It transcends cultures, professions, and time itself. The 11th century philosopher Al-Ghazali wrote about his fear that his insights were inadequate, despite being one of the greatest thinkers of his era. He described it as a veil between my soul and truth. This leads us to a critical question. Why does our mind play this cruel trick on us? What causes this persistent self-doubt? Research suggests that imposter syndrome emerges from a complex interplay of factors, both internal and external. For many, it begins in childhood. Perhaps you were raised in an environment where achievement was highly valued, where praise was conditional on performance. The psychologist Alfred Adler observed that children who are either overly praised or frequently criticized develop a distorted sense of self-worth, creating what he called fictional goals of perfection that can never be reached. For others, being different from the majority in your field can trigger these feelings. When you don't see others who share your background or characteristics in positions of leadership or success, it's easier to feel as though you don't belong. A 2019 study in the Journal of Behavioral Science found that around 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. The 13th century Persian poet Rumi captured this experience beautifully when he wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Yet how many of us feel like mere drops, insignificant and easily replaced? Our modern culture intensifies these feelings. We're surrounded by carefully curated social media profiles showing only the highlights of others' lives and careers. We see the finished products of their work without witnessing the messy process, the failures, and the doubts that preceded them. The cruelest irony of imposter syndrome is the more you achieve, the worse it can become. With each new success, the stakes feel higher. Each promotion means more people who might discover that you're a fake. Each achievement raises expectations for future performance. No amount of external validation seems sufficient to silence that inner critic. This creates what psychologists call the imposter cycle. You're faced with a challenge which triggers anxiety and self-doubt. You respond by either over-preparing and working harder than necessary or procrastinating and then rushing at the last minute. When success comes, as it usually does, you attribute it to your excessive preparation or to luck, reinforcing the belief that you aren't naturally capable. And so the cycle continues, with each success paradoxically reinforcing your belief that you don't deserve it. Studies have found that imposter syndrome is most common among high achievers, the very people who have the most evidence of their competence. With imposter syndrome, we consistently reject the external reality of our achievements in favor of our internal narrative of inadequacy. What's particularly cruel about this cycle is how it affects our behavior. We might avoid opportunities that would lead to growth, decline leadership positions, remain silent in meetings when we have valuable insights to share, or burn ourselves out trying to prove our worth. Does this sound familiar? Are you leaving opportunities on the table because that voice inside is telling you that you don't deserve them or couldn't handle them? If so, let's learn how to control these thoughts. So how do you overcome imposter syndrome? I want to be clear, this isn't about eliminating self-doubt entirely. Some degree of humility and self-questioning is healthy. What we're aiming for is a balanced perspective. The first step is recognizing the voice of your inner critic. When those doubts begin to surface, pause and acknowledge, that's my imposter syndrome speaking. This simple act of externalization, drawn from acceptance and commitment therapy, creates a vital distance between your true self and these intrusive thoughts. The 13th century Zen master Dogen wrote that to study the self is to forget the self, and by observing rather than becoming our thoughts, we reduce their control over us. Try making an imposter diary to track these moments, notice the physical sensations you're feeling, and even give your inner critic a silly name to further separate it from your authentic self. Challenge your brain's negativity by gathering proof of your abilities. Build confidence by focusing on our successes. Try keeping a success file with positive feedback and achievements to review before tough situations. Change how you see failure and perfectionism. Mistakes aren't proof of inadequacy but opportunities to grow. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi embraces imperfection, and Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron reminds us, fail, fail again, fail better. Set good enough goals instead of chasing perfection, and keep a failure file to track lessons learned. Adopt a growth mindset, as psychologist Carol Dweck suggests, by believing skills improve with effort. Focus on progress, not just results. Don't face imposter feelings alone, connect with others. Aristotle believed friendship helps us see ourselves more clearly. Seek mentors, join support groups, and practice accepting compliments with a simple thank you instead of deflecting them. Research shows that open, supportive environments not only ease self-doubt but also boost creativity and performance. True expertise isn't about knowing everything, it's about recognizing limits and being willing to learn. Al-Farabi noted that wisdom comes from acknowledging what we don't know. Instead of fearing uncertainty, say, I'll find out, and observe how experts handle gaps in knowledge. Challenge negative thinking by looking at the evidence behind your self-doubts and ask yourself, what advice would I give a friend in my position? Use your body to boost confidence. Research shows posture and movement influence emotions. Try a power pose, deep breathing, or centering rituals before challenges. As philosopher William James suggested, actions shape feelings. Acting confident helps you feel confident. Overcoming imposter syndrome is not a destination but a journey. There may still be days when that voice returns, when you question your abilities or accomplishments. The trick is to learn the tools to recognize it for what it is, a shadow, not the truth of who you are. Some self-doubt is natural and even beneficial. It keeps us humble, open to learning, and connected to our humanity. The goal isn't to eliminate all uncertainty, but to prevent it from limiting your potential. The 13th century Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Think about that for a moment. Perhaps our imposter feelings can be openings for greater self-awareness and growth rather than sources of limitation. So the next time self-doubt creeps in, remind yourself you're not alone. The next time you accomplish something and think, I just got lucky, challenge it with proof of your achievements. When mistakes make you feel like a fraud, remember that true competence includes learning and growth. You are not an imposter. You are a human being with talents and flaws, strengths and weaknesses, knowledge and gaps in knowledge, just like anyone else, regardless of how confident they may appear. Socrates once said, I know that I know nothing. Recognizing his own limitations was what made him wise. True confidence isn't about having no doubts, but about having the courage to move forward despite them. I'd like to leave you with the words of Marianne Williamson, which capture the essence of what lies beyond imposter syndrome. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. What frightens us is not the possibility of failure, but the full weight of our potential success and the responsibility that comes with it. You have earned your place, your achievements are real, your contributions matter, and the world needs what only you can bring. Step out of the shadow. Your true self is waiting. If you liked this video or benefited from any of the content, I humbly ask that you kindly hit the liked button and subscribe to my channel to get up-to-date content that will make you think and reflect. Thank you.